Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk about what makes a stellar employee. And if you think about the jobs you've had and where you're at, I've had a lot of teammates and a lot of employees. I've done a lot of write-ups, a lot of coachings, I've done a lot of promotions. I've hired thousands and probably terminated the same over my career. And there's certain things that stand out for teammates, and that's what we're going to get into today a little bit, okay? So first things first, what I want to say is when you go to work and you take a professional position, just remember the people that you work with, those are not your friends, okay? A lot of times folks get too comfortable and share too much with everyone that they work with, and that's fine. It's fine to build relationships. I'm not saying don't build relationships. But at the end of the day, you're there to earn a living. You're there to be a valued teammate for as long as you can be, right? To hopefully get health benefits and all the things that come along with the job. But overall, you want to create security for yourself and your family. And that's what you should be able to do when you're taking a I-9 W-2 type job. Okay? So what you want to do in that is you want to be careful. You want to carefully choose the role that you're taking. You're going to make sure that you will feel comfortable in that role and you know what that means. I'll tell you, when I was back in the manufacturing business, when people came in and applied at certain jobs, I would take them into the plant and show them what that meant and said, I'd have them observe for a little bit, 5 to 10 minutes, and then ask me questions about the role. I'd let them observe maybe a stretch and then talk to a teammate that's in the role that they're applying for. Because now obviously once we're at this step, that means they've already done the interviews. That means they've already done everything. Background's been vetted. We're good to go. We're going to hire this person. And before we hire them, the last thing we do is this that I'm talking about here, where you let the teammates see what they're actually going to do. When you do that, you're setting them up for success. You're making sure that they feel comfortable in the work role that they're taking on. Now, obviously, after 6 months' time or something, they can promote to a different role or do something else within the company. But that's what they're applying for, and that's what they're starting for. So make sure that as a teammate, you're careful in knowing what the role is and make sure you have those expectations. The next piece is ask the questions at the end of the interview process, especially when you're offered a role. Before you accept, ask the questions that you think are relevant. You may think of some later, and that's fine. You can ask those at the date of your hire. But ask about, work days, holidays, the expectation on the work days, what kind of breaks you get, what kind of promotional opportunities there, and ask how long teammates typically last in the role. That's one thing that's extremely important when you take a role, because you want to find out, is turnover a big issue? Is this a hard job to keep? Find out those things because you're trying to be a career person. You're trying to be career-minded. Next thing you want to do is you want to carefully choose what you focus on at work. You want to make sure that once you take the job, you're a stellar teammate. Show up on time. Get plenty of rest the night before. Try to do that every day. Try to make your schedule somewhat normalized so that you can work the job successfully in a positive, productive manner and get the rest that you need so you can do that. So you're supported and you're setting yourself up for success from day one. Carefully choose what you focus on. That's the third or fourth time I've said that. You want to make sure that you're keeping things positive at work. Don't be someone that complains. If you're seriously concerned about something at work, then take that to your leadership team and follow the hierarchical structure. So that means if you go to a supervisor, then tell your supervisor, say, hey, supervisor, this is the issue that I'm seeing. So-and-so and so-and-so also said that they see the same issue. This is what we think should be done. And then if your organization is a forward-thinking organization, they can do a meeting around that and use a lean team to find some DMAC principles to follow and fix this issue for you in a way that will be sustained and then maybe generate a best practice. And that could maybe improve safety, quality, production for everyone involved. So what you think and what you know is important, but share what you're doing in an appropriate manner. Don't be someone that complains on the floor every day and doesn't ever come up with a suggestion around fixing that. So carefully choose what you focus on. Next, figure out what does this all mean, right? So you don't have to get in the weeds with your way of thinking, but you want to make sure in the role that you're in that you stand out in a positive way in that role, which means you're going to have teammates that try to lean on you for this or that. Let them as much as you feel comfortable with, but have your boundaries because you're there to do a job. Make sure that you're there doing that job correctly each day. And then thirdly, what will you do? So if you're If you're in that role, you want to make sure that you know every day what you will do. You set personal goals for yourself. You don't want to compare yourself to other people. You want to set personal goals for yourself. So hopefully you can strive and succeed and exceed what other people are doing and exceed those expectations. What you want to do is you want to keep all emotion out of how you respond to things at work. So let's say something that happens that upsets you. You want to make sure you take the emotion out of that situation. So give yourself whatever pause is necessary so you can do that. When you pause and don't respond with all this opinion, this emotional opinion that's set up with no solutions and none of it, that is just a complaint, and that's going to be viewed as a complaint. To be a positive role model in your workplace and to be a positive employee that's got a great tenured type future, make sure you pause to give yourself control over those emotions. Give it a day or two. Write down how you felt, and then go back, and if you think it's worth addressing, get it addressed. The more often you do that, the more often you seem and you show yourself as a controlled person in how you respond, what's good and what's bad, and how you handle those things, and you build a pattern of that, that's going to suggest that you have extremely strong emotional intelligence, that you're exactly what they need there, that you're a champion for the company. And that's the other piece. Don't complain about your company. Never at work. Don't complain about your company. Don't post stuff negatively online. When you're in that job, you be the poster person for that company, right? Because they're a good company. They're giving you a fair wage for your work, and that's what you're trying to do. So when it comes to outside feedback, be careful what you converse about. Make sure it's professional. Make sure that you don't get inappropriate at work. And what I mean by that is, don't say anything at work that you wouldn't say sitting on a church pew next to your grandma, okay? Keep it buttoned up, professional, and clean. And when you're a professional person, make sure that your Facebook, your YouTube, your LinkedIn, all these social medias, keep those pretty hemmed up too. If you're going to be a professional person, you want to make sure that all that stuff looks good as well, because people do look at that when they're considering a hire. So make sure you're doing that. You don't want outside feedback to impact how you're viewed in your workplace. I've talked in videos before about perceptions. Perceptions come along typically because the people that are talking negatively about other people to you, when you leave the room, they're having those same conversations about you to other people. And so what happens is that cultivates a perception that you're as negative as someone else is, or more negative. And you may have someone that's doing that purposefully because they like to mix things up. So own your professional reputation, own what you're doing for that job. That sense of ownership will be what keeps you enrolled in employment there and happy in the work. Also, if you set very, very low expectations, right? If you don't go in, you set low expectations, then you will not be let down. You will be appropriate in what you're doing, and hopefully it will give you the upper hand in negotiating your future and in achieving opportunity for promotion. But in the other side, it will keep you from getting in trouble and getting written up and getting fired. Sometimes in an organizational structure, if someone's just making noise all the time, a lot of people want to do this is the 20-70-10 rule is how it's taught. And if you want to look into that rule, that's written by Jack Welch. There's a bunch of Jack Welch books. There's a bunch of Jack Welch quotes online. There's probably even YouTube videos on it that you can take a look at. The 20-70-10 rule says that 20% of an organization's employees are superstars. It means they go above and beyond. They're hitting all their expectations. They're meeting everything. Their teams are meeting everything. So they're doing great things. The biggest number of that 70%, those people are salt of the earth, meaning those are your teammates that come in every day, they do their work, they do a good job, and then they clock out and go home. They're not trying to get promoted, they're not trying to be looked at, they're not trying to have any issues. They just come in, get the job done, they do exactly what they're paid for, and they clock out and they leave. And then that last 10% is the 10% that you don't want to be in. Okay, 10% is the folks that either are being coached up or coached out. So these people are on a PIP, a performance improvement program, or they're in some type of training or scheduled retraining, etc., because they're just not getting it or they're not acting in a safe manner. So that 10%, you want to make sure that when you're getting your feedback that you know where you are in this structure, because you don't want to be in the lower 10%, because those are people that need to be getting coached up or getting coached out. So if you do these things and you show up on time, you have a good attitude, you smile as often as you can, enjoy your work, be appreciative and grateful for your work, it should be great for you, and it should improve the situation. I'll do a video in the future where if you're in a bad spot and tell you how to get out of that too. We'll do some of that too and talk about that. Hopefully this has been worthwhile to you. If it is, please like and subscribe. We are trying to grow the channel. I appreciate your attention. Be good.